So, what's happened in Spira after Sin was defeated? Well, as it turns out, a lot can happen in 2 years. The Guados have had it rough since Sin was killed. They were driven out of their home of Guado Salam because of their allegiance to Yevon, and now they live as refugees in the dying Makalania woods. Trammell, their de facto leader, seems heartbroken, but does Yuna care? No. Why?
Why? 'Cause fuck 'em, that's why.
They all deserved it. Every single one. Bevelle is now under new leadership. Their new leader, Baralai, introduces himself to the Gullwings. They're rebranding, and now calling themselves New Yevon. Yep, just name it after that religion that lied to everyone, and was run by a bunch of dead people, which caused 1,000 years of oppression. Good job. Baralai comes off as stern and serious, a no-nonsense kind of guy.
The younger members run the party, by mutual consensus, of course.
I'm sorry to hear that.
The Calmlands is now some sort of amusement park, with 2 companies vying for your business. The place where summoners used to fight Sin has now degraded itself into a carny paradise. Wow! A group of Al Bhed calling themselves the Machine Faction have moved into the Josei Temple, using it to recruit people for their excavation business, digging up Machina in the Bikanal Desert. They're led by Gipple, a cocky young upstart. The Al Bhed in general are no longer the whipping boys of Spira. You can find them everywhere, and they're leading an industrial revolution. The Ronso are now led by Kimahri, who is not really doing a good job. The majority of the Ronso don't respect him, and he keeps telling them not to hunt down the remaining Guado, making Kimahri seemingly the only person in Spira with a shred of sympathy for the Guado. Mushroom Rock is now the home base of the Youth League, a group led by a guy named Nuge. They stand up against New Yevon, and I really can't blame them. Now that we're all caught up, let's get back to Yuna.
Since you've come all this way, why not stay the night?
The Gullwings decide to stay the night, and in the morning find out that Wakka is trying to find something. After some sleuthing, the girls find him inside a cave.
So, you're saying there's something that might be here, and you want to know for sure, right?
Right, but you see, I want to know, and then I sort of don't want to know.
So the gang finds a sphere and kills a fiend. Wakka was told by his now-deceased brother that he had a hidden sphere of their parents in a cave. Yeah, it all makes sense. Wakka did mention the parent situation in Final Fantasy X.
I don't even remember my parents. Can't say how I feel about them.
Good job, Final Fantasy X too. We now return to Brother, screaming directly into your ears. Yuna returns to the ruins of Zanarkand. She's appalled that the once holy site is now being reduced to a tacky tourist attraction. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but this game seems to be incredibly self-aware. Isaru shows up. He's a former summoner from Final Fantasy X, and he sounds like Salad Fingers for some reason.
I can see this is upsetting you. But this is a place of great historical importance for all of Spira.
The feeling of rust against my salad fingers.
He's working for Cid as Zanarkand's tour guide, much to Yuna's disappointment. The gang ends up in the abandoned Blitzball Dome, and then the gang has to solve a shitty puzzle. At this point, the body count for these LeBlanc Syndicate members is getting pretty high. Remember that. There's a small dungeon section here, the party fights a dragon, and they get a broken sphere. The party comes back to the airship, and Brother screams, because he can't just fucking talk like a normal person. Apparently something called an awesome sphere is discovered in Kilika, so he decided to get it, because...
I want that sphere.
Okay, sure. Just want to check real quick what's happening in Final Fantasy X at this point. So the gang arrives in Kilika, and oh yeah, I almost forgot. What's happening in Kilika? Well, since Sin isn't around to level the island anymore, Kilika has grown into a relatively large village. Now that the villagers greatly outnumber those who reside in the temple, the tension is palpable. Doesn't help that many villagers are members of the Youth League, who think that New Yevon should just fuck off and die. The gang runs into Donna, another former summoner, and her guardian/lover, Bartello. Donna has joined the Youth League, and Bartello has joined New Yevon. So we have a trouble in paradise situation going on. At the gate to the temple, we run into the Youth League leader, Nuge. He's getting the people worked up with a speech, and the Youth League's demanding that New Yevon surrenders a sphere that reveals more about Spira's history.
We are here today to demand that New Yevon make the contents of that sphere public.
Nuge has this weird haircut that makes him look like Chuck Mosley. Oh shit, Varoja's back. Oh boy, New Yevon doesn't stand a chance.
We need proof before we can pass judgment.
Asset reuse in this game is pretty heavy. If you like Blitzball as much as I do, then you're going to start seeing Shami, Q, and Lina just about everywhere. Not to mention 30 clones of Larbite just standing around in Kilika. So the girls come to the conclusion that everyone else can just fuck off.
Okay. They can't decide who it belongs to. I say we make it our own. Right? Right!
Because we want the sphere for ourselves. Time to storm the temple. Wow, that dude got obliterated. After sneaking through the forest and tricking the guards, the Gullwings find themselves fighting off a giant machina used by New Yevon. Something about the face animations for the Gullwings looks a little uncanny valley, especially Pain. She looks horrified in most of these shots. The Gullwings steal the sphere from everyone, pose like the Ginyu Force with none of the charm. And we're subjected to a shitty remix of the Airship song, which was already shit. And that, mercifully, is the end of Chapter 1. So the gang returns to the airship, and Shinra analyzes the sphere. It shows the Aldi version of Tidus again, standing in front of what looks like a doomsday weapon. Yuna's upset because the Tidus lookalike is supposedly looking for someone named Len. Brother has a subtle crisis of conscience.
That thing is uber bad news!
And the group decides to give the sphere back. But to who? The Gullwings are stressed out, so naturally Shinra has a suggestion.
Why don't we ask Yuna to dance?
Dance?
People die and Yuna dances.
You must dance. Our sanity
When will she stop dancing?
Oh boy. So Yuna goes to the cabin to get ready, and those weird anthropomorphic musicians from the forest are here. Yuna has to put them in the elevator by doing a Half-Life physics puzzle. You know, I consider myself to be a generally pretty calm person. I tend not to throw my controller in frustration. It happened once when I was playing the Daughters of Ash mod for Dark Souls 1, and now my 360 pad has a broken rumble on the left side. I'm gonna be honest, I came pretty close to doing it again. So Yuna performs her shitty song. She then gets lost in thought about this Len character. She then has a bit of an epic gamer moment.
Why am I so mad? Who the heck is Len?
Yuna has a dream where she and Tidus run from guards. They end up in the same room as Aldi Tidus does. They embrace and then get shot, which is exactly what this game needed.
Oh my god, like mystery boxes are everywhere.
Yuna wakes up and finds herself wearing the dress sphere from the start of the game. The Animal Band are hanging out in that hallway, and they're playing this sick trip-hop song. Sounds like something from Lisa the Painful. So the gang's got to make a call. Give the sphere to New Yevon or the Youth League. Of course I'm going to go with the Youth League, because my options are an entire organized religion, or a man who can split the universe with a single attack. So the team meet up with Nuge at the Youth League headquarters, and he reveals that the weapon seen in the sphere is called Vegna Gun.
It possesses overwhelming destructive power. It must not be touched.
Yet those Yevon fools think they can control it. The Youth League will do whatever it takes to make sure they do not get a chance to try.
Buddy comes back with a warning, and the Gullwigs find out that they've been robbed by the LeBlanc Syndicate.
It's official. We've been burgled.
Team meeting. In the engine room. I don't think the engine room is safe for a team meeting. Uni gets her giant braid caught in the piston, she's done. And then Pain almost kills Riku with a tiny shove. The gang plans on stealing LeBlanc Syndicate uniforms to infiltrate and retrieve their stolen spheres. Sounds like a plan. Meanwhile, on Besaid, the Aurochs have a new coach, who hate them about as much as I do. He's antagonistic for the sake of being an antagonist.
I am Becklum. I've been dispatched to Besaid by Youth League headquarters. I'm here to pound some fight into these pathetic slackers.
Both! That mad scum!
He gives Yuna shit about being useless.
There are no more Aeons to summon. Summoners are worthless now.
You will take those words back.
We do a tedious minigame to prove him wrong, and he runs off. Time well spent, I guess. Over in Kilika, Donna is reluctantly thankful for the Gullwings. Feroja is also here, which is always good.
Anyone's still alive's at their breaking point.
On the high road, the gang catches a chicken. And they visit Mushroom Rock, where they find Nuge in a sealed cave that seems to have some sort of sphere locking mechanism. Pain seems a little uncomfortable around him, Gipple, and Barreleye, hinting at some sort of past between them. The gang vow to find the spheres and open the door for Nuge. Down at the Moonflow, the gang sells tickets for some kind of show that Tobley's running, and they get a little money for it. Fun fact, if you pay off Owaka's debt, he sells you items at a ridiculous discount. Then you can just sell them to Mickey Rooney at the bar for some profit.
But that was 2 weeks ago! You cannot go on or keep ringing my bell!
The girls decide to scope out the LeBlanc Syndicate, who have made their home base inside Guado Salam. The guards obviously don't let the Gullwings in the door. This scene is fucking bizarre. We've been murdering LeBlanc Syndicate members without second thought since Chapter 1. Yuna's body count for the Syndicate guards probably makes Sin's death toll look like child's play in comparison. And here's what he says.
Oh look, the Gullwings! You're not getting in here, see?
Once again, I refer to the bingo card. It's like having Genghis Khan kill your whole family, and in response you call him a poopy head.
Oh, Poopy.
Oh, never mind. What's going on in Final Fantasy X at this point?
I'm not done talking to you, don't you run away!
You're the one running.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, that's a good one. What a game. In the Thunder Plains, I find out that if your party members are confused, they can use random items in your inventory. So I now realize that mastering a dress sphere is kind of pointless, because you can't use skills from other classes. The game would rather have you watch Sailor Moon transformations 1,000 times and give the classes more depth. In Final Fantasy V, the whole point of the system was to mix and match abilities, like giving a summoner the bare-handed skill. So you can have them save mana and still do damage with normal attacks. Then I found out in Chapter 5, the last chapter of the game, by the way, you can get lore accessories that let you cross-class skills. But it's still bullshit because you're getting it way too late. Really makes me miss Final Fantasy X's system. It's turn-based, so it's slower, right? No. Everything feels quick. You tell someone to do a move and they fucking do the move right away. Instead, we can look forward to this. Not only that, Final Fantasy X gives you perfect information. What's the turn order? Who can I swap out? How does my next action affect the turn order? Whereas in Final Fantasy X-2, you can pick a move and have all three girls charging for something. The enemy kills someone, and now your previous moves are completely invalid. Anyway, Cid feels guilty about the whole Zanarkand thing. He's moping around the Thunder Plains, and I can only assume that he wants to get hit. Which is fine, because it only throws you back a little, no real damage. The girls end up helping out that trip-hop band from earlier, and they mention that the death of the faith is why the forest is fading out, along with their lives. And all they want to do is play music. Damn. I'd rather be playing whatever the hell this game is. Over in the Calmlands, the gang help Clasko make a chocobo ranch out of the old monster arena. They then run into two Ronso kids who are trying to figure out a way to fix Kimahri's horn. Before the gang tries to get to them, they bail.
They can really move.
Next we return to Zanarkand Ruins, and it's another fucking minigame. The girls come to the conclusion that breeding monkeys will make more monkeys, which will scare off the tourists. Alright.
What the fuck? Why does this keep happening? Why?
I'm just so sick of having my time wasted arbitrarily because the developers don't know how to come up with any good ideas.
Like, it makes no sense. Like, it's like, what is the upside for the player here? I think this is a really good question that you should ask, right? How does this make the player experience better? You know what I mean? Like, how does this long time frame, how does this make the player experience better? And I think the answer is very simply that it doesn't.
Oh, okay, that's kind of funny. It's like a parody of the Final Fantasy I intro. The girls run into some LeBlanc soldiers, and one of them does a front flip while talking.
Why don't you stop complaining and help me look?
Yeah, wow, that's pretty impressive. Ormi and Logos show up, and to be fair, lip syncing is hard.
The nerve!
So we steal their sphere and grab the first uniform. So the exact same thing happens in the desert, just without Ormi. So now we have two uniforms. Over in Mount Gagazet, Kimahri points the party towards a scar in the mountain. The girls stumble off a cliff and then decide to use the hot springs. Riku compares boob sizes, and I'm starting to see who the target audience for this game is.
What have we here? What? Whatever. I know who's got it going on. Oh, excuse me?
Stay away.
Whoa!
Want to get hurt?
You should check out Pain.
Ugh, hurt time.
The girls kill two more Syndicate members. Now the girls have 3 disguises. And Pain does a backflip while talking. Impressive.
Let's settle the score.
Nice. Using the disguises, the girls infiltrate the Syndicate. They run into Ormi and Logos, who tell them to give LeBlanc a massage. I think this scene speaks for itself.
Oh, you're good. There.
Outside the dream world, life can be harsh, even cruel. But it is life.
After giving LeBlanc several orgasms, she falls asleep, so the girls snoop around, steal spheres, and fight off Ormi and Logos. And then there's this one part we have to run away from a spike trap, and guess what? By dodging it, you soft lock the puzzle. After looking at guides online, I found that you have to run to the end of the hallway, and then let the spikes hit you. The girls then fall down into a hole and end up on a balcony above the corridor. Suffice to say, I'm not the only one who got confused by this part. I mean, sure, I'm not a fan of the game, but that's probably a bit much. So we find the other half of that broken sphere. LeBlanc's motive is revealed.
I went through a lot of trouble gathering those pieces, all for Noogie Woogie.
Then we fight all 3 Syndicate members. The completed sphere has more Vegnagun footage, which looks like a heavy metal album cover.
Those Yevon scum have been concealing that weapon all along. If anyone uses that thing, Spira is done for.
All we have to do is shake our way up to it and take it apart.
That's what Nucci's got in mind. And of course, whatever he's planning is what I'm planning. What about you?
Me?
The summoner who defeated Sin ought to stand up and defend Spira again. So, then I guess we're on the same side. We'll be waiting for you.
So we're going to team up with the Syndicate. who are now crashing on our airship.
Full speed ahead.
You just wait, Blondie.
Now that we know where Vegnagun is, the Gullwings and the Syndicate storm Bevelle. Mickey Rooney comes in to give us backup. Good man.
Anytime.
Bevelle seems to be in chaos. The Praetor is missing, and everyone is running around panicking. We're using this confusion to get in and find Vegnagun. The Bevelle section is brutally long, with plenty of fights, platforming, and puzzles. We walk through the old Cloister of Trials, and I can say that with 100% certainty that it's an improvement on Final Fantasy X's. We then get a recreation of the Final Fantasy VII Midgar shot. We fight the Final Fantasy X monsters from Bevelle, then fight the other one that almost ate Tidus.
A fucking shark ate me! Great dicks!
Then the Gullwings run into Barreleye again.
I know why you've come. You're here to destroy the weapon that threatens all Spira, Vegnagun. If it could be destroyed, we would have done so long ago. But Vegnagun must not be touched. Neither you nor Nuge seem to understand that. At any rate, you need not interfere. Leave Vegnagun to me.
What are you planning to do?
The only thing I can do. Keep those who would seek to harm Vegnagun away.
This would be a nice boss fight, but I kind of ruined it for myself because I've already fought him in the monster arena like 30 times. We find the chamber where Vegnagun is supposed to be, and waiting there is the Dark Aeon version of Bahamut, which Yuna is conflicted about fighting because he's one of the Aeons that helped her defeat Sin.
You must stop!
And the background textures are going nuts. Yuna is understandably upset, and it looks like someone dug a hole and stole Vegnagun. Back on the Celsius, the Gullwings hear that the temples are overflowing with fiends.
Hey! I got an idea! We could be your friendly neighborhood Gullwings!
You mean taking out fiends and charging for it?
What do you think?
Well, why not? If that means we can help out people who are in trouble, then sure. Right! That means spear hunting's on hold! Your friendly neighborhood Gullwings!
Is Cringe Pain real?
Yes.
So we're not sphere hunters anymore, we're mercenaries.